Good morning, YouTube. So, today we're going to talk about 1 year on the Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE. So, what do we think about the Triumph Scrambler after 1 year's ownership? So, 1 year on, how do we feel? It's a good bike to ride. I find it quite comfortable. I've done a few long rides on it, about 400 miler in a day. Wasn't uncomfortable. It's got a fairly good tank range. I think the best I've seen on this on a run with a lot of motorway mileage was about 180 miles to a tank, which is quite impressive. We've got the old elephant in the room, the heat coming off the exhaust. Off-roading capabilities, well, I've done a bit of green laning on it just for YouTube purposes, but it's not a bike I'd use for off-roading. Okay, down a sort of dirt track, but you get this into some serious mud, you've got no chance. It's too heavy, but it's not designed for that, really. You know, if you drop this and you're out on your own in mud, you're going to struggle to get it out of the mud and pick it up again. But as I say, it's not really an off-road bike in that sense, is it? Well, I don't think it is. It's an adventure bike. And of course, we've got all the fancy bits of bling that we can buy from Triumph to fit on it. This one was the Extreme model. It came with quite a lot of the factory optional extras from new. Somewhere here to pull over. So let's have a look. So, extras on this bike are the high lift front mudguard, crash bars. It's got the fancy machined bezel. Comes with the indicators, the LED indicators. Comes with the EU arrow pipes. This has got the American arrow pipes where the DB killers can come out, although you can take them out of the UK ones. I don't know whether the internals are exactly the same. They may well be. I have got the standard EU ones up in the loft. It comes with the footrest stand plate so you can stick it in softer ground, which is quite good. I think that's it. Oh, and it comes with the little bar and pad. And then, what have we put on it? We have put the bag and frame on it. Obviously the Arrow exhaust, the US Arrow exhausts. We've put the little engine covers on. Screen, we've put the screen on. I put that on mainly to hide an abortion of the back of the headlamp. It did have the steel mesh headlamp cover, but I took that off. I think it looks better without it. And you can't clean all the crap off the headlight easily, and it's not easy to take off just to clean, so you've got to remove the mudguard to get to a screw underneath the headlamp to remove it, so that's come off in the loft. Got the little crash bobbin. Oh, it's got the radiator cover there. That comes with the standard Extreme kit. And I think it comes with the bash plate. I'm not sure whether they come with a bash plate standard. Oh, when we put the old tank rubbers on. Now, if you can see there, I've left my phone at home, but I've put some heat wrap round the exhaust there. Now, I think that is it. Oh, it's a nice looking bike. Nice wheels. The wheels are well made on this, a bit like GS wheels. I mean, my dislikes for this bike, I don't think the fueling's that good. Compared with the BMW Urban GS I had, that's very snappy and responsive on the throttle. This isn't quite as responsive. And the Urban GS, that was responsive as it came out of the packet. You didn't have to do anything to that. This, you know, you can get lots of different bits to put on it to sort of make it better, but with the BM you don't. The BM's, I think the BM's about another 20-25 brake horsepower more, 1200. As a road bike, I would say the R90 Urban GS for me was a better bike just to scratch around these sort of country roads than this. This is a lovely bike to ride on the country roads. You're up higher, the suspension's better, but that just was a bit more, had a bit more go in it than this. But this is, you know, this is a nice bike. I mean, it looks lovely. They really do look nice, these scramblers. It is a nice bike. Let's go for a ride. You also get heated grips with this on this pack. So the one issue which definitely comes up is the heat coming off the exhaust for a lot of people. Now, what makes me laugh when you go on social media, I had it the other week on the Facebook page with one guy, wouldn't let go. He just had to keep on going on about there's no heat and move your leg an inch away and all the rest of it. Well, fuck it. There is heat. I ride this bike quite a bit, and if the temperature here in the UK is around sort of 35°C and you've been on a fast road, dual carriageway motorway for about half hour and you've got jeans on and you come up to a sort of exit roundabout and stop, the heat coming off the exhaust under your leg is quite impressive. It's fucking hot. And I noticed this last year in the summer. We had quite a hot summer, and yeah, when you've been riding this hard, there's a lot of heat comes off the top of the exhaust, just where your leg is. So I wrapped this with heat wrap, and it's made a big difference. I wasn't going to remove the cat. I can't be bothered to spend any more money on it. It might make it go a bit quicker. It's quick enough. If you want to go fast, we'll go out on the S1000RR later. That's fast. You know, this is. I never brought this to go fast. It's not a fast bike. So, yeah, the heat on the exhaust is there. If you're in a lot of traffic and it's a really, really hot day, it does make a big difference. It's hot. And leave comments, say, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Well, it's not for you, but it is for me and quite a lot of other people that ride them. And yeah, you can move your leg over, but when you're riding a bike, you sit in the bike and you get a natural position. So you're not then going to ride in an uncomfortable position to get the heat away from your leg.
So let's put the exhaust one to bed for now. I quite like the sound from the aero pipes. There are some other exhausts which are underslung exhausts, and they look quite good. I think they look good, but the only problem is then you're left with that big indentation in the side panel, which sort of spoils the look a bit. But I can live with the heat. With the heat wrap, it has made a big difference, and you only notice it when it's really hot, the weather. You know, and generally with jeans on, you won't notice it so much with leathers on. And normally if it's around 20-25, it's fine. But when I first got there, so I was reading reviews, and people out in the USA, they were saying all about this, and I was riding this in March, and I'm thinking, what are they talking about? But yeah, you do notice it. You do notice it. This is loud enough with the dB killers removed as well. Definitely. I mean, when I got a mate of mine riding behind, you know, he says it's bloody loud. So I think you can grind out the dB killers on the English or the EU pipes, but the only problem with that is, from an MOT point of view, if there's ever an issue, you can't put them back in. So there's been a few little electrical issues, but they're so minor. You know, sometimes when you ride the bike, or when you go to ride off on the bike, the ABS traction control lights start flashing up, and then it clears itself. I know they flash up when you first start it and you have to ride forward a few meters for it to sort of do a check. That's fine, but this stays on for, you know, a couple of minutes or so, and then it just goes. The keyless ignition is just rubbish on Triumphs. You know, you quite often get the key goes out of range when it's in your pocket. Never happens on a BMW. I mean, you can walk away from the bike and it'll bring up the key symbol, and as soon as you get near it, it cancels it. Never happens. On the BMW, 3 years before I needed to put a battery in the key fob. On this, considering you can turn the key fob off, I'm on my second battery in just over a year. And on the Rocket R I had exactly the same thing. You'd be sitting there and it'd just come up with the warning that the key has lost signal. So they've obviously got a bit more development to do with that. Comfort wise, I find this comfortable, which is surprising because I get uncomfortable on a lot of bikes. And when I first saw this bike, you know, I loved the look of it, and I rode it and I thought, yeah, it's great, but I thought that seat is really going to spoil the bike. But I have not had an issue with this, which I'm amazed about. I get more uncomfortable on my GS when I've been out on that for a long time than I do on this. So yeah, I'm impressed. A lot of people struggle with this saddle, but I've been lucky with this. I was thinking of getting a Corbin saddle for this because it looks nicer, but this is a nice seat. This really is. I don't like the way on this it's not ribbed all the way through. It's flat where you sit, and then you've got the ribbing on the back. You know, it doesn't look right. They never used to make them like that, and it's a bit weird. On the Triumph comfort seat for the Bonnevilles, they take that out and it's ribbed all the way down, but they don't do it for this. I'm not a great lover of this clock. It's okay, I've got used to it. I think they could have made something better. I think just the normal TFT screen that's on the Speed Triple would have been fine. They've put this on the Rocket as well, and I just think I don't know, it just doesn't look that good. It's got a very good tank range though, I'm impressed. You know, you can... I live in Norfolk, and I had a motor vloggers meet which met up down near Guildford in Surrey, which is quite a long way, and I managed to get all the way to Guildford without putting petrol in this, and I wasn't really desperate for petrol then. So yeah, range is good. I mean, the suspension is good on this, it really is. It's a nice bike to ride. It's great for these country roads. It does pull well as well. It is a good, you know, it's a powerful bike. Here it's very sandy, so you're all over the place with most bikes with roady tyres on. But if you put the traction control on, or leave it on should I say, when you go down a sandy track, it's not too wobbly, it's quite good. And you are up high on this, you know, I mean, it's a tall bike. Short people struggle with this. In fact, you know, if you're probably under 5'8", you're probably not going to be able to ride one of these or get your feet on the ground. I suppose the one downside with these is the depreciation, like most Triumphs, seems to be quite low. You know, if I wanted to sell this now, it's probably on the private market probably worth somewhere around sort of £8,500 to £9,000, and you think this is just over 13,000 with all the extras on it. So overall, I'd say it's a nice bike. Heavy. I did manage to drop it in my drive a couple of weeks ago. I thought the side stand was down, and it started going over, and I just could not hold it up. Went over that point where you're never going to keep it up. Managed to ease it on the ground gently, and it just marked one of the hand guards. But yeah, it's quite heavy. Thank God for the crash bars. Saved me scratching the clutch cover. So there you have it, the Scrambler 1200 XE. I'm out of here.